The Yankees' streak is over, and the offense is completely anemic currently. So the Yankees dropped 2 out of 3 to the Toronto Blue Jays. They had actually extended their streak when there was a chance to lose a series to 11-0. By winning Saturday, they improved that, but by losing Sunday, that streak came to an end as well. So not only did the series streak, I mean, both go hand in hand, the Yankees lose their first series then as well. That 11-0 streak ends too, and it was a matter of time. The fact that the Yankees are 13-9 is somewhat remarkable, although like things have obviously gotten worse, namely the Stanton injury. But like this lineup is really not looking good at all. The Yankees got pretty solid pitching basically this entire series. Domingo Germán, like the stat line ends up not being great, but he really was all right. I mean, with him, we know that the home run ball is an issue, and that kind of reared its ugly head again here. But Garrett Cole was good, really good, and Clark Schmidt was very good until the very end. And that was really by far his best start of the year against a good Toronto Blue Jay lineup. But this is tough. It's a divisional opponent, and you don't play your division as much as you used to. So you really want to take advantage of those opportunities. And look, for the Yanks, they were undefeated in series. And yeah, 13-9 now. And now they hit the road to face the Minnesota Twins and the Texas Rangers. So, and look, the Twins came in the Yankee Stadium and split 4. So I don't think this is going to be like necessarily an easy matchup coming up now at Minnesota. They're 12-10. But, as far as the Blue Jay series goes, for the Yankees, like I said, you're not going to win games when you score 1 run. It's just not going to happen. And the few runs that they are scoring are really mainly the home run ball. That's pretty much what's been happening. So, let's jump right into it. It was Kikuchi versus Germán. And, Kikuchi has had a solid season, but like he is hittable. The Yankees have gotten to him before. Somewhat mixed results, I guess, but certainly when he was on Seattle, the Yankees really did well against Kikuchi, but he was able to hold them down. And like I said, with Germán, he gets into early problems, and the Yankees are never really quite able to recover. As far as the lineup, it's mainly been, the top 5 has basically been the same. Volpe, Judge, Rizzo, Torres, LeMahieu. Now, granted, LeMahieu didn't start the second game. He would actually get a pinch hit walk-off single in that second game. That's mainly what you're getting. And then the bottom 4, and look, and that top 5, like Volpe, who is really he's doing a lot better. Hit a big home run in game 2. Did have a big error in game 3. But Volpe's getting better. But still, not quite, at this stage in his career, the ideal number 1 guy in the lineup. Then Judge and Rizzo, that's normal. And then Glaber clean up LeMahieu 5. Like, even that is really not all that great. You can live with it. It's all right. There's a clear distinction between the top 5 and then the bottom 4. But that lineup is really hurting. And, hey, even as simple as Harrison Bader coming back would really help. Even Josh Donaldson, who, like, he might totally suck offensively. He would be better than what you're throwing out there right now. Oswald Peraza has been getting a chance with mixed results. Oswaldo Cabrera, some good and some bad. Again, like Cabrera, like, I don't know, he might not really be a major league bat. While I do like him, I really, really do. I like what he brings to the table, but it's fair to question as far as Cabrera. So yeah, first inning in this 3-game set at Yankee Stadium, it starts out with the Blue Jays, getting a home run from Vlad Guerrero. And Vlad Guerrero, who really going into this series wasn't having like a monster season by any means. At least that I knew. Maybe more recently that changed, but certainly Guerrero made his presence felt versus the Yanks. You get a George Springer double to start it out, and then after a Bichette pop out, Guerrero hits a two-run homer. And with how good Matt Chapman has been, I can't complain, but it is tough. You do have that base open. I just wish that they pitched more carefully to Guerrero sometimes. I'd still rather face Matt Chapman than Guerrero any day of the week, but Vlad crushes one out to give the Blue Jays an early 2-0 lead. Then the Yanks do score in the bottom of the second, and it's Oswaldo Cabrera with his first home run of the season, and it's actually as a righty, and it was an opposite field homer, a Yankee Stadium home run, bit of a porch job, but Cabrera homers off of Kikuchi, and it's 2-1 at that point. Then Herman settles in, big time. Yanks bats are cold, very cold. And there were some base runners on, but the Yanks really just couldn't get anything going. Whereas Herman was really in cruise control until the end. In the sixth, 1-out walk to Chapman, and eventually with 2 outs, it's a 2-run homer for Brandon Belt. And that's his first homer as a Blue Jay. That one stung. So to go from 2-1 to 4-1 kind of took the sails out of the stadium, out of the team. And so it's 4-1 Blue Jays at this point. Albert Abreu comes on and pitches a good 1-2-3 7th inning. Eric Swanson, the former Yankee prospect, replaces Kikuchi in the 7th, goes 1-2-3. And then Abreu runs into trouble in the 8th, and it leads to a 2-run double by Brandon Belt with 2 out, where Abreu almost gets out of a jam and then doesn't. So Brandon Belt with 4 RBI on this night. And then Trevor Richards pitches 1-2-3 8th. Greg Weissert comes on a ninth. There was a stupid thing where, Vlad Guerrero gets hit and he's upset about it. And clearly Weissert was not doing it on purpose. And so Rizzo and Guerrero were talking for a bit, but nothing really exploded in that way the rest of the series. That was kind of a one thing incident. And then Yimi Garcia comes on in the ninth and finishes it out. So the Blue Jays win at 6-1. Not a great game for the Yanks. And now, and look, we've seen the Yankees lose quite a bit the first game of series. So now game 2, really good pitchers matchup, name-wise, between Garrett Cole and Alek Manoah. And both of them were just trading zeros. And Manoah has struggled. Manoah has struggled this season, but, pitched well against the Yankees. And for Cole, gets out of an early jam. Second and third, 1 out. After a Guerrero double, he strikes out Chapman and Varjo. So, again, Cole continuing, didn't go deep, and he probably could have maybe gotten a little bit longer. He ends up going 5 2/3 in this one. But let's see, Cole's ERA in the season is, 0.79. It's just been, and it could even be better than that. He's just been so good. But this game is probably, out of the 3, it is the most interesting. Not just because the Yankees won, but this was the closest game and had some interesting late game strategy and stuff like that. So, Santiago Espinal actually gets hit by a pitch in the second inning and would have to leave the game. So, nothing comes of it, but in terms of scoring, Manoah really was doing a really good job. You have an Oswaldo Cabrera double with 1 out in the third, and Peraza walks, and Cabrera steals third. Then Peraza actually steals second. Second and third, 1 out. Volpe strikes out. He would make up for it later, but that was a key strikeout for Volpe right there. And then Judge grounds out. And for Judge, it didn't seem like Judge did again, I'd have to look at the overall stats. It just didn't, Judge I don't think really did a whole lot in this series, when you think about it. So, just not a whole lot of action going on. Then in the 6th, Cole gets in a little bit of trouble. And after the Varjo single, they do bring on Ron Marinaccio, which was interesting. They could have left Cole in there. I think he was at about mid-90s pitch count-wise. Marinaccio does walk Alejandro Kirk, so it's bases loaded for Brandon Belt, who did really well the night before, and Marinaccio gets Belt to fly out. So that keeps it scoreless. Gets a couple outs in the 7th as well. Clay Holmes comes on in the 7th. And again, this is it's Clay Holmes, while yes, it would appear as if he'd get most of the ninth inning opportunities. Look, he came in the 7th inning here and does strike out George Springer. Manoah ends up going 7 strong. Holmes gives up a leadoff double to Bo Bichette in the 8th, but then Guerrero flies out, Chapman strikes, and then Wandy gets Varjo to ground out. Now, we've seen lately where Wandy comes in to end an inning, does the job, but then does falter when he comes back in the next inning. Just something to think about. We'll get there. Yimi Garcia comes on. Mind you, it's still scoreless, and it's a 2-out rally for the Yanks, and it's the kids. Oswald Peraza with a single, then Anthony Volpe with a big 2-run homer to right center field to give the Yanks a 2-0 lead. Definitely Volpe's biggest home run of his career. And he could have been the hero, but Wandy gets into trouble in the ninth. It's a leadoff walk to Alejandro Kirk. And then Danny Jansen, Danny Jansen's a Yankee killer. Absolutely, because he doesn't really do much against anyone else, it feels like. Pinch hits for Brandon Belt, and it's a game-tying 2-run homer. So you get a Volpe 2-run homer in the bottom of the eighth, and then Jansen on the top of the ninth off of Wandy Peralta. Then Jimmy Cordero comes on with runner on first, 1 out. Peralta exits, and Cordero gets George Springer to ground into double play. So we go to the bottom of the ninth, and Jordan Romano comes on for the Blue Jays. Another guy who the Yankees seem to have some success against, Romano, who is considered one of the better closers in the league. And Anthony Rizzo starts it off with a double to left. This was really well struck. This almost went out. This is almost an opposite field home run. Now Rizzo, is able to hustle and get to second. It was looking a little bit shaky there, but Rizzo does get to second. It's a double. Then Kiner-Falefa pinch runs for Rizzo, and this actually pays off. Good base running by Kiner-Falefa, where Gleyber Torres singles, infield single, and Kiner-Falefa goes to third. So then it's first and third, no out. Gleyber moves over to second on defensive indifference while Willie Calhoun is up. He walks. So bases loaded, no out, and LeMahieu pinch hits for Franchi Cordero. Infield is in. That helps LeMahieu, and he is able to win it. A walk-off RBI single, scores Kiner-Falefa, and the Yankees win 3-2 and keep their series hopes alive. Wasn't pretty, but they get the job done. Let's jump to the rubber game. And so, the rubber game streak ends. It was going to end at some point. It's too bad it ended against the Blue Jays, but it's what happened. And the good news in this game, and it kind of makes it bittersweet, I guess, is that Clark Schmidt pitched really well. And for him, the final line, the final line still does look actually very good, because Anthony Volpe made an error, so the runs from Schmidt were actually unearned. So 5 2/3 for Schmidt, 3 hits, no earned runs, 1 walk, 8 strikeouts. He does give up back-to-back home runs, though, and that really was the major difference of the game. Kevin Gausman, who was coming off a really bad outing, pitched, brilliantly. 7 innings, 3 hits, no earned runs, no walks, 11 strikeouts. Gausman absolutely dominated the Yankees. Again, this Yankee offense is in trouble right now. There is no two ways around it. It's in trouble. So, yeah, Schmidt versus Gausman. Really nothing going on. Tons of 1, 2, 3 innings. Eventually, you do get an Isaiah Kiner-Falefa 2-out single, and he's still second, then Volpe strikes out. So Anthony Volpe definitely needs to limit the strikeouts. That has definitely been a thing for him in his early career. Schmidt has a no-hitter through 4 1/3 until Matt Chapman gets a double in the 5th. But, Schmidt doesn't let it affect him. He's scoreless through 5. You get a leadoff double by DJ LeMahieu in the bottom of the 5th. And this was a play where Kevin Kiermaier, dives for it and, is unsuccessful. A speedier runner might get to third there, honestly. But DJ not the fastest by any means. And so he's on second. And look, you don't want to make the first out at third. So, but then Gausman strikes at the side. As Waldo Cabrera, he hasn't really been great, right? He hasn't really been great. It's kind of been flying under the radar, but it's been a rough start to the season for Oswaldo, as much as I like him. And then Peraza strikes out looking, and then Higgy strikes out swinging. So that attempt is completely shut down. And then in the 6th, the Blue Jays get going. And unfortunately, with 1 out, George Springer up, it's an error by Anthony Volpe. And this leads to the runs. Now, Gleyber Torres makes a really nice play on a Bo Bichette ground ball, and they get the force at second. So this is a play where, to be fair to Volpe, let's say Volpe gets Springer out, and then Bichette does this. Bichette probably, it would have been tough for Gleyber to get the out at first. Easy to get the force play. So to be fair to Volpe, but at the same time, these are the rulings, and so the runs are unearned. So in theory, that would have been the 3rd out, although it really wouldn't have been. And then Vlad Guerrero 2-run homer. Vlad Guerrero was look, Vladdy Guerrero was one of the big stories for the Blue Jays in this series when you think about what he did in Game 1 and Game 3. And then it's back-to-back. Dalton Varsho home run makes it 3-0 Blue Jays. Michael King comes on, and King, it's too bad because, King coming on down 3-0 in the 6th is almost a waste, and he didn't really pitch all that well in this one either. As it's back-to-back doubles with one out, Merrifield and then Danny Jansen gives the Blue Jays a 4-0 lead. Cabrera gives one a ride in the 7th, with them down by 4 with a runner on, but Kiermaier tracks it down. Ian Hamilton comes on in the 8th, pitches a 1-2-3 8th. Swanson replaces Gausman in the 8th. He also goes 1-2-3. Hamilton runs into a little bit of trouble in the 9th, does give up a run as Danny Jansen beats out what could have been a double play, makes it 5-0, and the Yankees are able to get on the board at the very, very end. Adam Simber comes on, and with 2 out, 2 strike, Rizzo does homer. So it's a solo shot for Anthony Rizzo, makes it 5-1. Then actually Gleyber singles and DJ LeMahieu singles, but Oswaldo Cabrera, the time run was on deck, but Cabrera flies out into foul territory. So now the Blue Jays and Yankees are both 13-9. The Rays continue to win. They're 19-3. So the Yankees are 6 games behind them. Look, it's not what you want in terms of the standings. It's the Yankees have been grinding, right? So I can't kill them at all in terms of look, they're hanging in there, but the roster looks rough right now. There's not only the lineup too, but hey, the rotation in the bullpen. There are a lot of injuries going on to really key players, and so I'm curious to see what happens versus the Twins. This will be the Yankees' first series versus Joey Gallo, so I wouldn't be surprised if Joey Gallo homers in this series. They'll also be going up against Sonny Gray to start of the series. So a couple of former Yanks that Yankee fans aren't too fond of. So Johnny Brito coming off of a good outing, but he sucked versus the Twins. So keep an eye on that. Johnny Brito obviously was awful in that Twins start. So it'll be Brito versus Sonny Gray in the first game. The second game, you got Nestor Cortez versus Joe Ryan. Now Cortez pitched well versus Minnesota, but didn't get the win. Wasn't his fault. And then Joe Ryan, that was the game where Brito got bombed. So Ryan was given a great cushion, but did pitch well. And then game 3 is an afternoon affair between Domingo Germán and Kenta Maeda. And Maeda's been dealing with some injuries and things of that sort. So we'll see what that game brings. But hey, hoping the Yankees can get back on track. It'd be nice to win a first game of the series, right? So now that they lost the last game of the series, hopefully they can now turn the page and respond with a win. And again, not have that feeling of, hey, already the Yankees are trying to save their bacon to try to win a series. And look, by losing the first game, it takes the sweep out of the equation. Not that I expect that to happen here. Definitely not. But it'd be nice to get one of these times. So again, Yanks fall to the Toronto Blue Jays. It is their first series loss of the 2023 season.